Good morning. It is 10 o'clock. That's the time that was noticed and posted for this regular board meeting. We're getting some feedback. Can you stop that?
We're working on that right
February? It's February. It's Tuesday, March the 12th, 2024. It's 10 o'clock a.m. and we're in the Board of Supervisors hearing room, Melody Lane, Bisbee. Any item on this agenda is open for discussion and possible action. And if you would all stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. The order or deletion of any item on this agenda is subject to modification at the meeting. The board may vote to recess into executive session for the purpose of obtaining legal advice from the board's attorney on any matter listed on the agenda pursuant to ARS 38-431.03A3. We begin with the roll call. District 1.
Crosby is here.
District 2, Supervisor English is present. District 3.
Supervisor Judd is here.
We have a complete board this morning. Members of the public may attend this meeting by Microsoft Teams computer or mobile app, or by phone by calling 602-609-7513 or 888-680-6714. Conference ID is 465-375-904#. If you have trouble accessing this meeting remotely, call 520-432-9200 for direction. The board may permit public comment during the discussion of any item on this agenda. To speak on an agenda item or during the call to the public, complete and return the speaker request form to the clerk of the board by 9 a.m. on the day of the meeting. Notice that some attachments may be updated after the agenda is published, and this means that some presentation materials displayed at the board meeting may differ slightly from the attached version. And we begin with the call to the public. I have the first person is on Teams, Radford Hyde. Radford, are you online?
Good morning. Good morning. In regards, this is Radford Hyde from Sierra Vista, and in regards to agenda item number 5 at the last regular Board of Supervisors meeting on February 27th, the silence of the county attorney's office on this matter is deafening. Supervisor Crosby added discussion after the motion was read, and here's what I transcribed. Before we vote, I have a secondary motion preceded by these comments. September 12th resolution on vote centers failed. The default was maintaining 55 precincts. This met the October 1st deadline of ARS 16411A. December 12th issues appeared on the amended agenda, this time one vote center added in Peggy's district. This was illegal according to ARS 16411A. According to, it may have been, it is allegedly illegal. Let me put it that way. June, I believe he meant January 9th, the Board of Supervisors was advised that the December 12th vote was illegal. Constituents have repeatedly asked for explanations on these actions with no response. Therefore, here comes my motion. I move the county attorney be tasked with producing a written opinion determining the legality of the board's action regarding the above noted dates and regulation deadlines. It was dismissed based on a lack of a second. It seems a reasonable ask. Where is the county attorney on this anyway? He was bold enough to start interjecting when there were no other items discussed, when there were other items discussed whereby he was not asked for his opinion. The county attorney's office repeatedly interrupts the board, specifically Supervisor Crosby, with unrequested legal opinions. Is this another political game they're playing? The action Supervisor Crosby brought up doesn't fit the narrative of the left's election shenanigans. Why? Why won't anyone speak up? What are you afraid of? County Attorney's Office, where are you on this discussion? Please consider this. If it's illegal, isn't it your job to interject? It's plain in the ARS. Do something about it. Thank you.
Next, we have in person Lloyd Trachtenberg. You have 3 minutes if you come to this podium, please. Give your name and address.
Lloyd Trachtenberg, 10731 South Kings Ranch Road. Let me take a moment just to bring you to where I am at. I've been here for 18 years in that same location, and I run a full-blown 18.5-acre organic farm, USDA certified, and am a mentor for other farmers through the United U of A. I'm here because over the years, I've been noticing and quite upset about the fact that there are lots of pieces of agricultural land with minimal to no taxes being paid. And I've inquired over the 18 years and have gotten nothing but complete political bureaucracy answers. You don't qualify. We have a special form. We have a special list of things you need to meet. And after a while, I got really tired of seeing empty land. So I decided that I wanted to do something about it. I had a nice long meeting with Tom, and he said, of course you should qualify. Let's go research this. And he did. And I do, by exemption status. He went and met with the assessor and explained everything. And the message I got back was, hurry up and fill out this form for this year's ag reduction. I said, okay, great. I did that, and miraculously, after their meeting, trailer showed up delivering cows to a pasture right next door to mine that's been empty for years. 8 cows. Half of them had JL brandings on them. JL branding is Jack Ladd. Whether they were bought, borrowed, or whatever, can't tell you. Within a couple of weeks, all of those branded cows were gone. Now there's only 5. I thought the rule was 20, and other variety of rules. We run the 18.5 acres, over 100 chickens, 50 pigs, cattle. Matter of fact, just had a new birth this morning. A variety of produce and specialty items like garlic and asparagus and artichokes. We're a full-blown farm. When I submitted the forms, I called and talked to the deputy assessor. I explained this whole story. He said, okay, I know about it. I'm going to have to put you on a priority. And this was at about Thanksgiving. And I said, so I assume I'll see you between...
Your time is up. Thank you. Next speaker is on Teams, and it's Allison Moore.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, I'm Allison Morse, a registered voter from Portal, and I thank you for allowing me this opportunity to speak today. Supervisors Judd and Crosby, please remind Recorder Stevens of the facts regarding the hand count lawsuit and $1 million grant he received from the state last year. He seemed to have forgotten some details during his interview with Mike Thorchin last Friday, March 8th on KBRP's Weekly Magazine. Mr. Stevens stated that the expanded hand count you 3 were pushing was legal and had already been done by 2 other counties. As you were told, nowhere in the Arizona statutes or elections procedures manual does it state that this is allowed. You were all sued, then you appealed, and ultimately all 4 judges unanimously ruled against it. And please remind Mr. Stevens that contrary to what he said on air, no other Arizona counties had done this expanded hand count before. Pinal and Mojave both attempted it, but neither were successful. Mr. Stevens went on to say that you 3 stopped your effort to hand count as soon as the first judge ruled against it, but in reality, your efforts very much continued, didn't they? Right after Election Day, Recorder Stevens was so determined to follow through with your plan, he had to be reprimanded by an outside attorney that he was unauthorized to do so and would be in contempt of court order if he did. And you two, Supervisors Judd and Crosby, went on to sue our former elections director to carry out your illegal hand count a full 10 days after the judge's ruling. So, contrary to what Mr. Stevens stated on air, the three of you very much persisted with this illegal effort even after the judge's ruling. Mr. Stevens told his audience that he had no idea why he was denied the extension of the $1 million grant. Please refer him to the meeting minutes or video recordings for July 11th, July 25th, August 8th, and August 22nd. He seems to have forgotten that the grant extension was discussed repeatedly. The topic was tabled 3 times because Mr. Stevens continually failed to provide proper paperwork for the extension. I think it's important for voters to learn about our elected officials, and since Recorder Stevens is running for re-election, I think it's critical that what voters hear from candidates themselves reflects the truth based on the facts. Thank you.
Next is also on Teams, Jeff Sturgis.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm Jeff Sturgis from Sierra Vista. Good morning. I've pointed this out before, but the point does not seem to have been taken. People come before the board and ask, often demand, that the Board of Supervisors commit illegal acts. 2 of the board members have seemingly done just that and have been indicted, facing serious felony charges. Please, people, understand that if you want to see changes in how elections are conducted, the County Board of Supervisors is not the place to address your concerns. State laws determining things like how votes are recorded and counted are made by the state legislature. If you want these laws changed, address them there. Can you understand that? Let's just take one example. As one local journalist has pointed out, and I quote, "Often at county soup meetings, there is a sad parade of mostly county residents whining about how hand count of votes is better. They provide no substantiated evidence, just made up, quote, facts. State law, however, doesn't allow for a full hand count of votes, and there are reasons for that. There is substantial evidence that total hand counting is expensive, prone to major miscounts, time-consuming, error-prone, and insecure. A little experiment held here in Arizona revealed how error-prone hand counting is. Election workers spent 3 days counting just 850 ballots in Mojave County. They made errors in 46 races. Why doesn't this concern you? So when folks come before the Cochise County Board of Supervisors and ask for, often demand, full hand counts of ballots, and counter recorder David Stevens comes up with a half-baked plan to accommodate these demands, remember what happens to supervisors who break state laws, and remember that there are reasons for these laws. And when you vote next time, vote for a recorder who understands the law. Integrity matters. Please stop this sad parade. Thank you.
Next speaker is on Teams, and it's Tricia Gerardet.
Good morning, supervisors. Tricia Gerardet in Sierra Vista. I'm calling to talk about my experience with voting in our presidential preference election. I received my ballot by mail as requested and marked it and returned it using a county drop box here in Sierra Vista. There's a new program offered by the Secretary of State's office that now covers Cochise County, and it's called Ballot Trax, T-R-A-X. And so I signed up for that, and I got a text message alerting me that the ballot had been mailed to me. Then I got another text message confirming that the ballot had been received by the county, that I'd returned it and it was received, and that it was at the recorder's office. And then I got a subsequent text message confirming that my signature had been verified and my ballot had been turned over to the elections office for counting purposes. It was wonderful, I thought. I hope it provides an example to some people who seem to be concerned about the safety of ballot and ballot tracking and ballot counting. So I urge people to look into that. Thank you very much.
The next person is in person. It's Alice Novoa.
Thank you. My name is Alice Novoa, and I'm here to expose election fraud. 2020, sadly, wants to make me cry. We had, for the delegates in Democrat Party in the convention, they had a DACA student be a super delegate by the name of Ellie Perez, and she's an illegal alien, and she's a dreamer, and she's a DACA student. And this is her picture here. I'm not going to say too long. So I'm not going to show the picture. If somebody wants to see it, you can ask me later. This is Katie Hobbs' connection with Chicanos por la Causa. Chicanos por la Causa is part of the Aztlán movement. Don't get offended. The Aztlán movement, I'm going to tell you who it is. It's a radical Islamic Mexican Catholic movement that plans on the overthrow and takeover of the entire United States for Mexico. It's called Aztlán, and from Costa Rica to Canada, it's called Anáhuac. And right now we have thousands of illegal alien elected officials in our country because the loophole is in the voters registration form that does not require a birth certificate. And because of that, you have the motor vehicle division and people just accepting all kinds of votes. I vote at the double Adobe precinct, and what happened there last time when I went there in 2022, and every year you have to sign on the screen, so they cannot go by the signature. Voiding email is also illegal. It has to be a secrecy of the balloting, and what they did with Mays, the Attorney General, who's right now after Supervisor Judd and Crosby, she got 500 votes because what they did, Missions, Arizona, which is connected to the Democrat Party, what they did with her, they cured the ballots from mail-in voting, okay? And they got 500. I don't know what they did. They didn't find any for Hammond. So I'm just saying we have illegal alien elected officials, and that's why the Democrat Party is bucking the Republican legislators. And this is Mexico. They have biometrics on their elections. Okay, biometrics. And here, everything is racist. It's not racist. We have over 1 million illegal alien voters in the state of Arizona, and the White House is being run by Aztlán, illegal aliens. And right here also, I have in Cochise County, 2020, where I had to vote, you had the electors for Biden and the electors for Trump, President Donald Trump, and we have not had a president since Biden took office. Why? Because he got the illegal alien vote, and 3 of his electors here are illegal aliens. Thank you.
That's the time that we've allocated for the call to the public.
Madam Chair, I have comments to Madam, I guess this is Allison, but I don't remember her last name. Maybe it was
Morse.
And that was, maybe Ms. Morse is still listening. 16602B was ruled not to support full hand count of early ballots, which I already knew on October 24th of 2022. On October 24th, 2022, Mr. McIntyre, the county attorney, said 16602B was illegal. The next day, the Secretary of State said 16602 602B was not illegal. The purpose of the Mara special action suit was to address the illegality or not of 16602B. That case was dropped only because Ms. Mara had statutory duties to do other recounts. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I need to remind you that we're not to discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda. Next, we have a presentation from an organization that works with the county, works with the constituents, and it is called Arizona at Work. And thank you, Ms. Phelps, for being here this morning to let the public know about the organization and the good work that's taking place at Arizona's at Work.
Thank you, Madam Chairman and Board of Supervisors.
Could you speak up just a little bit?
Sure. I have presented you with copies of the annual report, which was made quite a while ago, and I tried to look at, if I was sitting in your position, what would I want to know? Because I think that's the most important thing, because there's a lot of information in here that may or may not be as important to you all. So I think, first of all, on page number 7, talks about what our allocation is and how our funding comes down. Over the last 2 years, we have lost almost $1 million in funding because of the way the funding comes down. It comes down in a formula. It doesn't matter how good or how bad you are, you get the same amount of money, which in my opinion is wrong, but that's the way the law was written, and they didn't ask me. So anyway, as you can see, we've had a decrease of funding, unfortunately. The next thing I'd like to point out is on page 20 is the amount of people who have come into each of our one-stops. We have one-stops in Sierra Vista, Douglas, Greenlee, and Graham counties. And as you can see, we've actually had less people come in. I don't know if it's because they're more successful at finding work on their own, which would be great. But we still have that great problem with people wanting to work. And then later on there's a copy of our board members. So you can see who currently sits on our board. And of course, that's important because you all appoint them. And then on attachment number C is our budget. And I always like to look at how much money actually goes to our clients. So if you look at the 4th line from the bottom, it has our training, our training budget, and our supportive services budget, which is pretty substantial.
Which page are we on?
It's attachment C. It doesn't have a page number. I'm sorry. And then the last thing is we put a copy of our audit in, and on page 32 of the audit, it's the first thing I go look at on the boards I sit on, because I want to know if there's any findings or disallowed costs. And as you can see on the report on page 32, there are no findings federal, no findings in statement, and we are still considered a low-risk auditee. Now, since the report was put together, we just received our most current audit, which should be in the front of your packet. And the way we are funded is we are cost reimbursement, so we don't have the money. We spend the money, and then the state reimburses us. And you all are the fiscal agent for that. So if you go to the very back, the last page, this is our current audit. I think it's the last page. You will see we continue to have no findings, no financial findings, no federal findings, and we're still considered a low-risk auditee. So you have 2 years of audits, and it always takes a while for the audits to come through. Okay, last but not least, a letter was sent to Chairman and English yesterday, and it has this letter is also in the front of your packet. It's from the Department of Economic Security, who are the fiscal agents for the state of Arizona, and it talks about our performance. And this is 2022. We always get our performance like years behind. It's not good as a management tool. I get very upset by that, but they don't care if I get upset or not. And as you can see, the last page, it has our performance requirements. We made over 100% of all of our performance. The good news is that we did really well. The bad news is next year they're going to raise our performance requirements because they say since we can make ours, there are counties who can't make theirs, and we have to make up for it. So I didn't want to, and I hope you had an opportunity to read the success stories that are in the packet, because some of them are very heartwarming. And every once in a while when a client comes in, it makes you tear up because of the circumstances they're under and the way we're able to help them to make them so that they're more self-sufficient and they are tax-paying citizens. And so I'm open for any questions.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Phelps. I appreciate your diligence.
Okay.
Ms. Judd, any comments?
So, where are the one-stop centers, and do you just walk in, or do you have to make an appointment, or how does that work?
You can walk in. We have an orientation, so you can walk in and sign up for the orientation, or you can sit down at one of the, we have computers at the one-stops. You can sit down. We have all the job sites on there. We have a job board, so when we get copies of job openings, they're on the job boards, and people can actually peruse those anytime they want to. But the computers are available and ready. We have almost all the ones we can find, like at Fort Huachuca, let's say Jacobs Construction. Their email is on there, so you can just click on it and see what jobs they have open. So it's a really a great tool for people who are actually looking for work.
Okay. So, but where are they located? Are they in our county buildings, or where?
No. Oh, no. The Sierra Vista One Stop is located in the downtown center along with Cochise College.
Okay.
The Douglas one is a City of Douglas facility on the corner of 7th and G Avenue. And Clifton and Safford, I don't have off the top of my head, but I can get those for you if you want.
I could probably look it up.
Yeah, it should be on time. Yeah, right.
Okay. All right. I was just wondering, and sometimes I have to put a word in for my own community. Wilcox is where I live.
And
it feels like Wilcox is a long ways, and I saw something similar at the old DES office. There used to be a computer there, and you could look at all the jobs that were available everywhere.
Well, there should still be a computer there, and we do have a person that goes there.
We don't have a DES office anymore.
Oh, you don't?
Yeah.
See, it goes so how far? At the library, the gentleman at the library is really great at allowing people to use the library computers, and one of them actually we paid for.
Okay.
At the library.
So the Wilcox Library will have that.
They should have, yes. If they don't, let me know.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for all the years of hard work, and I know you work really hard to get people able to do the work that's necessary.
Yeah, it's very sad that there are people come in who are only trying to fill out their unemployment card, and they don't really care about finding work. But then there are a lot of people who really are wanting a job very badly. And we hope that if we can't find them a job with the skills they have, that we can help them get the skills through Cochise College or some other training organization so they can get the skills they need in order to get the jobs they want.
I think that's important, and thank you, David.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Phelps.
All right. That's a very uplifting way to start the day. On the consent agenda, I have items 1 through 4. Do I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I move we approve agenda items 1 through 4.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Chair votes aye, and it's unanimous and approved. Next, we have one public hearing with Development Services. Mr. Coxworth. Do I have a motion so that we might have that on the floor?
Madam Chair, I move that we adopt zoning ordinance 24-01 for docket R-24-01 agritourism, amending articles 2.03 definitions, 2.15 rural zoning districts, 2.18 residential zoning districts, 2.42 planned development districts, and 2.48 administration in support of agritourism and the Cochise County zoning regulations.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, and I believe I will just go ahead and move us into the public hearing, and you give the explanation. We don't have any speakers, but we, of course, have the opportunity for the board to ask questions. So go ahead, Mr. Coxworth. I'll move us into public hearing now.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. This is a staff-initiated amendment to the Cochise County zoning regulations to support agricultural tourism here in Cochise County. Agricultural tourism is a type of tourism that involves visitors engaging in various activities and experiences related to agriculture and rural life. The goals of agricultural tourism often include promoting local agriculture, supporting rural economies, and providing educational and recreational experiences for visitors. Do have a presentation, I'm not sure. I'll continue on. The proposed changes to the zoning regulations are more permissive. The changes allow agritourism by right as a permitted use in RU, which is the rural zoning district, and PD, the planned development zoning district, and a special use in the R residential zoning district on sites that meet the definition of general agriculture, which is what we know as ag exempt properties. They have at least 5 commercial acres of a commodity, an agricultural commodity in production. We would consider that ag exempt. Ag exempt allows them to build their own home, build their own barns without going through a permitting process through development services. What we're proposing here today is not exempting the commercial enterprises that would be in support of that farm. They would still have to go through a commercial permit process. But we are making it more permissive for those operations to apply for those permits without having to seek a special use permit. Those are just the zoning districts where we're amending to allow them either as a permitted use or a special use. So we could stop there. There is one pullback to the proposed changes to the definition of wine tasting room and the exemption of a wine tasting room. Currently, in support of the wineries, there was a change to the zoning regulations allowing a winery, if they were ag exempt, to construct a wine tasting room without going through a permitting process. We are removing that from the zoning regulations. The reason for that is these are commercial buildings where the public is invited. They have gotten somewhat large on some farms, on some wineries. We want to ensure that the minimum building code and zoning are met for these structures because they do invite the public. Also, many of them have kitchens, and we also want to ensure they have adequate parking, adequate ingress and egress for the public in the event of emergency, and adequate ADA in their bathrooms and their parking spaces. This is the proposed definition of agritourism. What's important is that the agritourism enterprise will be located on-site, accessory, and subordinate to the commercial enterprise in conjunction with a directly related to the general agricultural use of the property. The types of agritourism that we'd be permitting by right and allowing for a special use in the R zoning or residential zoning district, some of the highlights include guest lodging, retail, and then also the wine tasting rooms. The Planning and Zoning Commission did hear this item in a work session at their January 10th meeting. They did hear the item at their February 14th meeting, and they did make a unanimous recommendation to the Board of Supervisors of approval of this zoning reg amendment. And that concludes my presentation.
I think it's always interesting when we come up with a change rather than it being something that the public brings to us that needs to be changed. So what you're proposing here is to make the experience that we hope that agritourism is more safe with the buildings.
Correct. What
whole point?
They'll be required to apply for a permit, but what we're doing is we're allowing a farm that's ag exempt a lot easier to have other commercial businesses on their property as long as they are supporting an accessory to the overall farm operation. As an example, guest lodging typically is a special use in RU zoning district. Even if you are a farm, now you can do guest lodging at your farm through a standard permitting process without having to get approval through a public hearing process by the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Any questions or comments?
Yeah, Mr. Coxworth, the owner-builder opt-out option is popular in this county. And does this item have anything to do with the owner-builder opt-out option? I thought you said something about that, and I wasn't real clear on what that was.
Sure. The owner builder option that we have in Cochise County is for residential structures for people who own at least 4 acres and a minimum zoning of 4 acres. It's a residential use, the owner builder. These are commercial uses. All commercial uses are required to have a permit through development services.
So there's no change in as far as the owner-builder opt-out program?
No changes.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions or comments, please, Judge?
I apologize. I wasn't following those 2 planning and zoning meetings.
Sure.
And I was just wondering if you could give us kind of a synopsis of what the public said. What did our wineries say? Were they grateful to have this opportunity or overall? Or
We received
their-
no public input.
Okay.
I did visit at one winery when we were looking at proposing these changes. They have been very supportive, but in general, there was no public who spoke for or against this item.
The only, I only witnessed one circumstance that kind of did the commercial stuff first. You might know what I'm talking about in my district. And then they added the wine grapes, and so they did all the commercial stuff first. And I just wanted to compliment you on how well you worked with their efforts, and I guess continue now. They're adding some residential glamping.
Mhm.
And so that would kind of fall under this new kind of, probably was an example of how you developed this new this new stuff. But anyway, thank you for working so well with them, and they did it the other way. So I can imagine that there's some leniency built in, it sounds like, and some ways to help them feel comfortable and encourage them to build their agritourism business, because that's very important in our county. So thank you for doing that.
Sure.
Any other questions or comments before I
Nothing further, thank you.
close the public hearing? Okay, I will close the public hearing now. We do have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any other discussion before I call for the vote? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, and it's unanimous and so ordered. Thank you, Mr. Coxford. Next, for the Board of Supervisors, Laura Lowenheim, you have over-the-counter tax deed property. Let's put a motion on the floor, please.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the over-the-counter sale of tax deed properties as set forth in the attached Exhibit A, plus related administrative fees.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Ms. Lowenheim.
Madam Chair, members of the board, this item is asking for your approval of bids on 2 parcels that remained from the tax deed land sale last year. These are the last of the 5 parcels that remained after the sale. Bids and payments of $2,000 each, along with a $25 administration fee, were received. The parcels are listed on Exhibit A. Board staff is recommending approval.
Okay, any questions or comments? We have a motion and a second on the floor, so I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, and it's unanimous and so approved. We look to item number 7. I have several people who wish to speak on this, but first of all, I'd like to have a motion on the floor.
Madam Chair, I move we approve Community Enhancement Fund expenditures for District 1 Miracle Valley Bible College cleanup in the amount of $70,000. And I have further comment if you'd like me to do a further presentation before we hear call the public.
We can do
Let
that.
me,
but let's
let
get
me
a second on
second
this.
it. I second it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. So certainly you have the opportunity to
Okay.
speak before I call for the people
Thank
who wish to speak on this issue. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's still my intention to spend the least money to get this property auctioned. The meeting minutes from the last meeting about Miracle Valley, to my knowledge, are not available yet. Isn't that correct? Okay. So I'm not in favor of demolishing anything that cannot be efficiently and legally rebuilt for reuse. In other words, prior to the last auction attempt, potential bidders indicated their willingness to pay the cost for making the property usable, and the first and biggest cost for that safe legal use was asbestos mitigation. I observed the visible part of the foundation and I saw that it was seriously dilapidated in the biggest building. And that begs a question, in my view, what about the invisible damage or deterioration? My concern is the footings of the walls, and since I saw the concrete floor to be in such poor condition, a safety concern is definitely the footings of the walls. So the last meeting I made the note that time doesn't stand still, but on the other hand, since we have till the end of next summer, I believe that we are not in a hurry either. So there's time to hear from everybody and do everything as well as it can be done. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. There are people who wish to speak on item number 7, and the first one, you will have 3 minutes. First one is Daniel Jones, and he's on Teams.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good morning. My name is Daniel Jones. I am the Vice President of Miracle Valley Oasis Center. I'm located in West Happy Valley Road, Glendale, Arizona. Good morning, esteemed members of the Board of Supervisors. My name is Daniel Jones. I'm the Vice President of Miracle Valley Oasis Center. Today, I stand before you to emphasize the critical importance of safeguarding the Miracle Valley Bible College. Your deliberations on the fate of this historically significant site hold profound implications for our community's identity and legacy, both locally and nationally. The Miracle Valley Bible College holds immense importance for those of Christian faith, in addition to its pioneering cultural significance as a beacon of inclusivity and technological progress. In the 1950s and 60s, the property blazed a trail by integrating African American and white American staff and students, defying the norms of segregation and discrimination prevalent in its era. While at the same time it served the Navajo people, recorded church services that were broadcast around the world, and published over 55 million pieces of literature annually, further underscoring the historic importance of the property. Last year's designation by the State Historic Preservation Office highlighted the Bible College's eligibility for inclusion in the state and national register of historic places. As per Arizona's revised statutes, ARS 41862 mandates careful consideration from the Board of Supervisors to prevent any inadvertent actions leading to its destruction or substantial alteration of the property. The proposal to demolish up to 75% of the property using $70,000 of taxpayer money would break the law and is deeply troubling. Such a vote would not only constitute gross negligence, but also raise concerns around religious discrimination and result in legal action against those voting in favor of demolition. Instead of demolition, I urge you to explore alternative solutions with our organization and preserve the Bible College's legacy for future generations. Miracle Valley Oasis Center is fully committed to supporting the Board of Supervisors in achieving its vision for fostering diverse, vibrant, and safe communities while honoring our cultural heritage. By aligning with this vision, we can collaboratively transform the property into a center that not only preserves our heritage, but also generates employment opportunities, provides new facilities for the local community, improving the quality and bringing economic improvements to the area through tourism and additional tax revenue from jobs. Together, let us ensure that this historic gem remains a cherished landmark, serving as a testament to our past and a beacon guiding us towards a brighter future for Cochise County. Thank you for granting me the opportunity
Time is up.
to the Board of Supervisors today.
Your time is up, please. The next person is in person, and it's Tiffany Miller.
Good morning. My name is Tiffany Miller. I reside at 4032 South Santa Lucia Avenue, Sierra Vista. I'd like to express my opposition to the county using taxpayers' money on a piece of property that Supervisor Crosby has admitted will not be profitable to the county. It is proposed to use $70,000 of our funds in this fiscal year alone, in addition to an unknown amount afterwards for the destruction of certain facilities on the Miracle Valley property. I would venture to guess that is a significant amount of money to the average Cochise County citizen. On the other hand, it is mere pocket change to any developers or major corporations who may express an interest in the property. Therefore, allow the new owners to determine what they want done with the property rather than wasting funds on an endeavor which does nothing to benefit the public. It is disconcerting that Supervisor English stated on July 25, 2023, that the public has made their will known regarding this matter, that the Miracle Valley property be left as is to go to auction, and yet now is in favor of violating the public's will. At that meeting, Supervisor English made the comment, and I quote, "Any of these properties that are given to us by the state, it's as is. It's up to you what you want to do with it," end quote. That being the case, it is inappropriate to use public funds for a property that will be privately owned. Or perhaps it is believed that the property would be less desirable to a nonprofit organization without the historic structures in place. But such action has the appearance of religious discrimination, and I'm certain that that behavior is far beneath the standards of this esteemed board. So as Supervisor English has noted, the public has spoken once, and the public is speaking again. Leave the property of Miracle Valley to the hands and to the pocketbooks of whomever should acquire it, and allow them to develop the property as they see fit at their own expense. Spend our tax dollars in a way that is beneficial to the people of Cochise County. Thank you.
The next speaker is in person, and it's Francis Naomi Alvarez.
Good morning. I'm Frances Alvarez from Miracle Valley, Hereford, Arizona, and I speak from my heart. I stand before you on behalf of Miracle Valley Bible College to declare no demolition of any of the buildings upon the grounds. Demolition is not our only choice that we have. I agree these buildings are in dire need of full restoration, and there are those that are willing to do so when given that opportunity. The buildings have been built of good structure of steel and block, and yes, down through the years, much has taken its toll on them. But with a vision, hope, and faith, and a willing people, all things are possible. Now, if you had a dire situation in your life or your family, and you had an opportunity of hope, would you not reach for that? That perhaps that this time things might change, reverse, be made new? I would hope that we would all reach for hope, giving hope every opportunity possible rather than throwing in the towel and quitting just because no one else can see any hope for you or your situation. Most of those that desire that these buildings be not destroyed is because these are not just structures, they're not mere buildings to us, but rather they hold within their walls history, past, present, and future. There is more to be written from within these walls for the present and the future generations to come. Keeping these buildings intact gives tangible connection to the testimonies that they carry. They take you back to a certain place in time where the unimaginable has been made possible, giving hope to this present generation and the future ones to come. As they touch its walls and walk where heaven has walked, to sit in its confines and drink in the very presence and essence of something very real and very tangible, stirring up hope which is much needed in the generation today. Even those that would stand by and watch in our own surroundings, communities, near and far, as they look at something that has been deemed dead, forsaken, a boneyard, lifeless, and watch how its value is being restored and come to life again. This in and of itself would cause hope to rise in individuals, in homes, in families, to believe again that no matter what it looks like or what others may think, there is always opportunity for hope. Redemption, that redemption means a redeeming worthy, a redeeming valuable once again. And that would grab the attention of those near and far around the world, putting Cochise County on the map in a very opportune way, a specific way. Miracle Valley did that once upon a time, and I'm sure it shall do that again. What does that look like for Cochise County? How about revenue, tourists? Life takes life to its own kind of darkness here. Isn't that something that we could use, that we want, or that we desire for Cochise County?
Your time is up.
Thank you.
The next speaker is on Teams, and it's Steve Allen. Steve, are you there?
Yes, I am here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Steve Allen. I am the grandson of A.A. Allen, who founded the Miracle Valley Bible College and the Training Center in 1958. And I'm part of the executive board of directors of Miracle Valley Oasis Center. My father was a contractor, and he also overbuilt everything that he did so that it would easily last almost forever structurally. He's the one who built the buildings that are on the Bible college campus that is in question right now. I followed in his footsteps, and I have been a contractor for over 4 decades now. And I know the integrity of the structural frame of the building that are there. It makes absolutely no sense at all to me for county officials who aren't in the building industry to unilaterally decide that the buildings are not structurally sound without the analysis of a professional contractor or engineer, especially after the decision was voted on in the past and it was agreed by all of you to halt any current or future alterations of the historic buildings. I have been told that the county attorney now doesn't think the law requiring the county to help preserve the buildings from harm applies to the county. Well, our attorney says that it absolutely does apply to the county. With those differences of legal opinion, it doesn't make sense for you to make the county or any of you personally liable by pushing forward to demolish or even touch any of the buildings. You might think that I'm saying all of this because I have a sentimental attachments to the buildings. Well, you're probably right on that. I do have a huge sentimental attachment to them, but as I'm sure your email boxes show, so do hundreds of your constituents, and so I don't think it would be a good idea at all. It might be easier and maybe even cheaper to build from the ground up, but by demolishing the buildings, instead of keeping their historical value, if they were demolished, history cannot be restored. That is why they have been deemed eligible to be listed as historic and need to be preserved. So I'm asking you today to make the right choice for the constituents that you have, for all of the county.
Your time is up, sir. The next speaker is on Teams also, and it's Dave Mangum.
Good.
Are you there, Dave?
Can you hear me?
It's a little low, but speak more and we'll tell you if we can understand.
Okay, can you hear me at all, sir? Hello? Hello?
Is that clear enough?
That's clear enough.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning. My name's Dave Mangum. I live in Columbia, South Carolina. I thank you for your time and for listening to what prior speakers have had to say about Miracle Valley. Miracle Valley is very dear to me. The late A.A. Allen was my uncle. I was there when those buildings were built. In fact, in 1970, I went up in that prayer dome and asked my wife to marry me there. I gave a proposition. So from a personal thing, the buildings mean a lot to me, but from a historical and from a religious standpoint, those buildings represent, through our Bible college, over 400 thriving churches today from the students that went there that are still operating, that are still winning souls to the Lord. We have over 400 churches and colleges in the Philippines in addition as a result of this ministry's outbreak and outreach. And we didn't just cast a line and we cast a net and got people. I have personally been able to witness hundreds and hundreds of miracles in that tabernacle on those premises and watch people's lives be saved and changed. Don't mean to go into religious side, but you're tampering with religious organization and with religious freedom, and there could be some violations that could come up from anything that might be done to jeopardize that. If you ever had a car and you've had it be involved in an accident, do you destroy the car or you sit there and look at it, and in due time you fix and repair it. These buildings are in dire need, but as Steve mentioned, those buildings are built very strong, and it can be done, and there is a vision for this to be taken care of to make that another thing of beauty, a masterpiece per se, and something that can bring much joy to those people that had lived there and worked there, everything else. And for the mess that happened back in the 80s, a drug shootout and all this mess and this, that had nothing to do with Miracle Valley. That was a gang that came in. That was other people, not the religious side. We had people from all over the world that came to work there. We never had any issues at all. But I want to thank you guys for what you're doing. And if you've ever done anything right, did you feel wrong about doing something right? I ask in this right here that you check your heart out and don't let the Lord judge you on this day. You made a decision to destroy something that was his, but let your heart speak and do the right thing and make yourself proud, make the county. Give us the opportunity to restore that back to its beauty. The Bible said that the latter will be greater than the former. Thank you guys for your time. Have a blessed day.
The next speaker is in person, and it's Rachel Louise Waterbury.
Hello, I'm Rachel Waterbury, and I live in Sierra Vista, 916 Cardinal Avenue. And I am coming to state that I do not feel like it's a good idea to spend taxpayer dollars to demolish buildings on the Miracle Valley Bible College campus there. And I wanted to remind everyone about the Linedeckers and how they donated all this land to A.A. Allen and the work of God, and that was to last forever. And A.A. Allen also purchased property as well with the hopes that this would last forever. And so it's exciting that Miracle Valley Oasis Center with the children, the great-granddaughter, Rebecca Allen Jones, and her husband and her dad have started this nonprofit to come and purchase the property and restore it and continue the work that God started so long ago. And I just wanted to share a little bit. It was a couple years ago, my husband and I started having a heart to pray for miracles and healing. My parents were missionaries in Africa, and I experienced supernatural healing in my own life. And so it's like I've always believed that God has this work to do. And one day it was a couple years ago now, I was just praying and said, God, what does this look like? Where are we going to do this? How's this going to happen? And immediately, Miracle Valley, the words went through my mind, and I'm like, no, God, people have tried that before and failed. Because that's all I knew. I drive by to Bisbee, I see this old dilapidated building. I knew none of the history. So after that, within a week, we started meeting people who had a connection with Miracle Valley. And they started saying some of the miracles that happened. We started researching on the internet what happened back then. And we were blown away about the miracles that God did. And from a mere historical value of the property, there are so many people's lives who have been touched in some way by God. And so they have a heart for this, and that's why so many people are speaking up and so many people are signing the petitions that you just got, because they don't want to see that work come to an end, and they want to see it get back into the hands of people who have a true vision for this work to continue. And from a tourism standpoint, it's going to bring a lot of money to the area. Just saying. All right. Thank you.
The next is in person, and it's Rebecca Allen Jones.
Good morning, supervisors. And I would just like to point out this very large stack of the will of people here. And I have a speech for you, but really what I want to do is ask you to have faith. I believe you guys have lost hope in this property, in nonprofits, in religious organizations, and what they can do for this community. You have got to give us a chance. I am begging you. do not break the law. Do not do this, because these buildings, to anyone who has not have grown up in construction, I grew up in construction. My whole family did, 3 generations of it. And these buildings look pretty bad right now, but they are totally salvageable. My dad, who spoke to you, has saved buildings in worse state than this. And they are still serving communities today. And our organization and other organizations, religious organizations, they add to the life of community. We can add jobs and opportunities and so much. This county needs facilities so badly, and we can offer that. We want to do this to serve. We're not here for ourselves. This isn't for us. This is for this community. We need this opportunity. And my husband and I moved all the way from England for this, you know? It's not a small thing. We're here because we care deeply about this community, very deeply. And the will of the people is something that you were elected for. They don't want this either. You can save your money and use it on something that's going to benefit the public, but you have to give us an opportunity. So you have with you a packet of information from me. You can see signatures, you can see our vision, you can see an offer from us. Again, I just invite you, make an offer, look at our offer fairly. Please don't discriminate against us as an organization. Please don't discriminate against the will of the people, or make this feel like some sort of self-dealing might be going on. I mean, there's so much push here. Please, please think about what we are asking you. This is the legacy of my family, you know? The county thinks so. This is the legacy of my family, but we're not here for sentimental value. You're here to serve, and we need that opportunity. We can give you cash this week. We are trying to do this, and we will pay you, and you could be done with it. We could be restoring this in a couple of weeks' time, frankly. We have the ability, and there are other organizations that can offer you. We can do this now. You don't need to wait. You have the right to over-the-counter. Please be fair. Please don't do this. I beg of you. And if you don't, I will have to litigate against you guys personally, because I feel so passionate about this, and I don't want to do that. I don't want this to get ugly. I want to serve. Please let us. Please, please let us. And do not think that you guys know what's best for this property, because you're not supposed to be contractors. You're supposed to be elected officials just doing the will of the people.
Your time is up, Rebecca.
Thank you. Do you have any questions? I know this is an action item.
No time.
Okay.
We do have a motion and a second on the floor. Probably there's time for discussion.
Yeah.
Yes.
Madam Chair, did you understand the willingness of a concerned citizen that might have spoken today to pay for instance, an inspection of the footings prior to the auction? And if so, perhaps we could inquire of Mr. Coxworth and the county attorney if and how we could accomplish that. So to repeat the question, did you understand the willingness from a concerned citizen to, for instance, pay for inspection of footings?
Yes.
You did? Okay.
In fact, I was going to ask you if that might be a possibility for the expenditure of funds. The whole point of this, for those of you who are concerned and interested, in my saying that we sell properties as is, it was not with the knowledge that there was hazards on those properties. It has fully been brought to my attention that this property has hazards. We would not let the public walk out there in the condition that it's in, knowing that there could be broken legs or cave, whatever. So this is different. And it's been made different by dereliction over many, many years. And we can't fix that. But the whole idea is to make it safe enough that people can go on the property. And it isn't safe now. Okay. So I heard the idea that, well, we didn't know what we were talking about. We're not contractors, and we're not. But I don't want to put the responsibility on Dan Coxworth in community development to decide on these buildings, if they are able to be saved or not. That probably is an engineering or architectural or combined process that I certainly think that allocation of funds to make sure that we had a competent contractor, et cetera, look at these buildings to determine what could be salvageable. We're always concerned about spending taxpayer dollars, but we're always concerned about safety also. And so the point of it is, if there are gas tanks in the ground there that are contributing to pollution, we want to get them out of the ground. So what we're looking at is trying to fix a problem, and it's going to be a future problem, and someone has to fix it so that it's safe. So those are my comments. Ms. Judd, you have comments?
I just wanted to say, and I did say this in the work session the other day, that if we have potential buyers that would like to have the property as is, literally as is, and potential buyers that want it cleaned up. I mean, it seems almost that we should allow the as is, because once we clean it up, that can never be put back. So, and I didn't say that exact words, but that's kind of what I was after. I know we don't know who the potential buyers would be. Got a little bit of paperwork today, but I don't want to change it. I never wanted to change it from the beginning. And I know that meant that we couldn't have people go on the property and see it, but there are people that bid in the last auction and apparently would bid or purchase the property, and they didn't get to go on the property and see it, so they were not at risk. And I just don't want to tear down the buildings. I just want to say that again.
Well, when you say, okay, as is, we did as is.
Yeah.
And we got people bidding that didn't have any money and couldn't come up with it. So I think we've tried the as is, Ms. Judd.
Well, okay, I will just accept that.
Well, I think that last meeting when we talked about this, I made my sincere desire known that I was very happy to hear from my colleagues on this matter, and so I still am. And I notice Mr. Coxworth appears to have disappeared.
No, he's back here.
It's okay. Mr. Coxworth, could you answer a couple questions for me, perhaps?
I remember he's not a contractor.
I know. Okay. Last time, this just has to do with the bidding process, and if you don't know, perhaps Mr. Karwachka knows. In the last bidding process, could corporations have bought that property at the last auction?
Yes.
Oh, that's what I thought. Okay, here's another one. Was there a prohibition on any bidders from bidding a lower bid than the publicly visible highest bid? And I'd be glad to repeat that.
Is that a positive or a negative question?
Let's try it again. I think.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out if you're asking that as positive or negative.
Let's say we got all these bidders out there. Was there a prohibition on bidders from bidding a lower bid than the publicly visible highest bid? In other words, here's these bidders, people are making fake bids of $700,000. Does that mean nobody else could come in and bid $250,000? Or could they have bid a lower bid than the $750,000 if they would have wanted to?
There was a minimum bid listed on for the auction.
Okay, well, my point was.
What was the minimum?
That I don't recall on top of
that. That's not my question, though. Here's this bid out there publicly visible for $750,000. Let's say somebody else comes in and say, well, I'm not going to bid $750,000, even though I see that is the highest bid. I am only going to bid $700,000. Could they have done that? Could they have bid a lower bid than the highest bid that they saw?
And if I remember correctly, the ending bid was that high, but there was multiple bids to get to that level. So people did bid lower, and then it was bid up to that point. And so then when we inquired, we went to the highest bidder, who then didn't have the funds, and then we move on down the line, and there was no bid or no bidder with sufficient funds.
Okay. But there could have been, somebody could have made a bid lower than any of those highest bids, as long as it was above the minimum bid, if they'd have wanted to.
Right.
That's what happened.
That's the point I'm getting. Everybody understand what I'm saying? Okay. People that didn't bid could have bid. That's my point. People that didn't bid could have bid. Even though they saw this big bid out there as a high bid, they didn't bid. As
No
far as I
one
can
was
tell.
disenfranchised from bidding, so there was no stipulation except the minimum bid.
And to reiterate, corporations could have bought it at the lost auction. So I guess that did, you know, like I said, the last meeting, I made note that time doesn't stand still. So we're gonna keep going here. Okay. We want to avoid the problems that we had last year. On the other hand, we have time to do everything right. It's at the end of next summer. So let's just keep on going. And the motion is for transfer of the $70,000. And there, as far as I'm concerned, there's plenty more time to hear input from the board and input from the public. Does everybody agree with that?
I don't think there's a timeline been suggested.
So sometime before next August is what Mr. Coxworth would like to have, as I understand, for the auction to go again. Did he leave again? Think so? There he is. Goodness sakes, I didn't know I'd like that.
I keep hiding on it, but it's not intentional. Yeah, we can continue. You can have another work session if you'd like, whatever you'd like. Supervisor Crosby, these are your funds. I don't want to spend these funds outside of how you desired for them to be spent or the board approves for them to be spent. So we can circle back with another conversation on moving forward. There's a lot of trash on the property. We could clean up the trash without touching the buildings or trying to get things out of the building. So there are some things we can do. We can address the fuel tanks. I think anybody wants the fuel tanks to stay. So there are some things we can do in the meantime until we make a decision as to whether these structures on this property should remain or not prior to the auction.
Thank you, Mr. Coxworth.
So I just have to ask again. So the $70,000 appropriation today of Community Enhancement Fund would not necessarily include removing any structures from the property.
I wouldn't want to put a distinction that they could not, because there hasn't been a determination if that's even what needs to be done, Ms. Judd.
And any structures is real broad. There might be some kind of outbuilding that absolutely nobody wants. So I think we're still thinking about it. All this is just transferring that money to where it can be used.
Right.
And like I said, I don't want to spend any more money on this than what we have to get it auctioned. And if the buyer or whoever else buys it wants to spend all they want, that's fine with me.
Okay, we've had opportunity to hear from the public. We've had an opportunity to hear from the board. We have a motion and a second on the floor. If there are no other comments, then I'm going to call for the vote.
Aye.
None? All right. All those in favor say aye.
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 Chair votes aye, and it's unanimous and approved. So the money will be transferred. Item number 8 is could we have a motion on this one, please?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve Community Enhancement Fund expenditures for District 2 Bisbee Community Connection Feasibility Study Match and the amount of $25,000.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. This has been brought to my attention as a necessary part of the ADOT trying to do a feasibility study, and they needed to have match money. So I'm hoping that you will approve the use of this match money for the feasibility study of the walking path or the path around the pit. So that's my reason for putting it on here and hoping that you will approve. Any comments or questions?
I like those outdoor walking paths, the historical walking path.
Right.
I think anything that connects us to our history is important, as I emphasized in the last comment. So thank you for that. I think that's wonderful if you'd like to do that.
Any other comments? Hearing none, then we have a motion and a second on the floor. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Chair votes aye, and it's unanimous and so ordered. Item number 9, could we have a motion on the floor for item number 9, please?
Madam Chair, I move we approve Community Enhancement Fund expenditures for District 3 Benson Dog Kennel Capacity Improvements in the amount of $48,571.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
This took me a lot of time to think about. It was presented and I try to balance because I have a lot of communities and things, and this one is one that will help the whole county as well, not just my district. Sharon's done really good selling me on this because I went back and forth on it. But I do think that I see the value of that. For one thing, one of my big interests was getting a facility that could handle our animals and shelter them properly in that the county was able to utilize in that northwest part of the county. And this is clearly in that northwest part of the county. And as part of my comments, I'd like to thank Benson for their open-mindedness and willing to work with the county. So
Sounds like
I will let you approve it.
Any other comments? No other comments then. We have a motion and a second on the floor, so I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Chair votes aye, and it's unanimous and so ordered. And item number 10.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve Community Enhancement Fund expenditures for District 3, tipping fees for the City of Wilcox Earth Day cleanup, and the amount of $2,000.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Yes. This one's a little simpler. The City of Wilcox worked with a lot of organizations, the quarterback club and the actual football players cleaned up some lots and put some dumpsters out, and we didn't have to provide them. They were provided by the community provider there. But the city did pay for the tipping fees, and it was in the amount of $1,000. Well, they want to open up, why the $2,000 is they want to open up that to community-wide, advertise it, and place them around the community. And there will be probably twice as many dumpsters and a lot of people contributing. So I thought the $2,000 was a very low ask compared to some of our community cleanups with high impact. And the fact that it's on Earth Day, I was excited about that too, because I think that will get a lot of community involvement. And some of our problems are the outskirts of Wilcox. So we're going to try to put some out where people can use it in the county as well. So I really wanted to do this. Thank you.
Sounds worthy to me, and always, the outskirts of a city should be annexed, and it isn't. So, so that they can claim its county and have us do it. But like I say, one of the reasons we started this community enhancement was to help cities clean up and counties clean up. So I'm all for this. If there's no other conversation, we have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Chair votes aye, and it's unanimous and approved. We move to item number 11, which is our combined trust. Do we have a motion on the floor before we have Jennifer explain it to us?
Madam Chair, I move we approve the Cochise Combined Trust premium rate structure for medical, dental, and vision benefits for fiscal year 2024 through 2025.
Do I have here a second?
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Side.
Ms. Grimm, would you explain to us the information that we have in front of us, please?
Thank you, ma'am. First off, good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. In February, the trustees of Cochise Combined Trust met to review the performance of the trust and to vote on rates and benefit changes for the upcoming plan year, which begins on July 1st.
For the benefit of the public that doesn't understand, maybe you should say who the members of the Cochise plan are, because we do have members besides Cochise County.
Cochise Combined Trust consists of Cochise County, Cochise College, and Central Arizona College.
Thank you.
And them combined, we are a self-funded plan. So this slide shows our total anticipated census, just the county, or active participants, which is 732 in the coming year. And this breaks down how we anticipate our employees enrolling in our different plans. The first one that is illustrated is our exclusive provider organization. We refer to that as an EPO. And this is a very traditional 80-20 cost sharing plan, which we anticipate 49% of our employees will enroll. The next plan is, again, an exclusive provider organization, but it is a buy-up plan. We call it the EPO buy-up, and this plan has higher rates and lower deductibles. We anticipate 15% of our employees selecting this plan. The final plan we offer is a high deductible health plan, and this offers the lowest rates and the opportunity to participate in a health savings account. We anticipate 36% of our employees enrolling in this plan in the coming year. At the meeting of the trustees, a number of plan changes were approved for the coming year. All plans will now cover cochlear implants as a prosthetic. Historically, there has been zero help with that. It has been the participant's responsibility 100%. Previously, the member was responsible for the penalty associated with the failure of a provider to obtain pre-certification for procedures or tests that were required that are at a cost of over $1,000. The change in the coming fiscal year is that the penalty will be on the provider. Another exciting thing is the addition of what is referred to as SWORD digital therapy. This also comes with a plan called Bloom. What it is an option for all members. It's preventative care, and this program will empower our members with an additional avenue for addressing musculoskeletal conditions. It provides the participant with physical therapy utilizing technology with a physical therapist live virtually. It leverages sensors to provide real-time feedback, and these sensors ensure that the member is performing the exercises correctly and allowing both the physical therapist and the member to track actual progress. Bloom, which is another portion of this, is a very unique program focusing on improving women's pelvic health, a topic that is really not discussed and with limited local options. These programs will be processed as preventative claims and upon approval at no cost to members. For me, this is a very exciting advancement utilizing technology at a very low cost to the trust. The rates for our plans are going to be increasing in the coming year. The exclusive provider plan, the EPO, and the EPO buy-up plans will increase in the copay for urgent care from $35 to $40. This aligns with the copay for Teladoc and specialists. The EPO in-network deductible increases from $500 for an individual to $600. Deductibles for those with dependents on the plan will increase from $1,500 to $1,800. The EPO buy-up in-network deductible increases from $250 for an individual to $300 for an individual. For those who insure dependents on their plan as well, the deductible will increase from $750 to $900. Out-of-network care is not covered by either the EPO or the EPO buy-up plans. Our high deductible healthcare plan, in-network deductibles will increase from $3,000 for an individual to $3,200 for an individual. For those who are insuring their families, the in-network deductible increases from $6,000 to $6,400. Dental and vision are not experiencing a rate increase, but an increase in benefits. For our dental plan, our members who are pregnant will have the option of additional cleaning. So they will have three cleanings per year that are covered. With our vision plan, we will be removing the vision exam copay for participants in this plan, and an increase is seen allowable in the frame allowance to $200 or contacts in the amount of $200. As I indicated, our rates are going to be increasing, and the premium rates for our EPO plan and EPO buy-up plan will be increasing anywhere from $8.11 to $62.90 per pay period. This is based on plan selection and plan choice, as well as dependent coverage. Our high deductible health plan will see increases from $3.33 to $7.68 per pay period. As discussed previously, vision and dental rates will remain the same. To help you get a feel for additional rates, which could be available, or additional plans that could be available for our employees, we are providing you with some examples of plans that are available in the marketplace. Needless to say, any reduction would be dependent upon a subsidy. So whether or not an employee would be eligible for a subsidy, these rates could be reduced. Here are examples without subsidy. The average marketplace plan, just so that you are aware, did have an increase of 6% effective this year.
Is this looking at on that page, Ms. Graham?
Correct.
Okay.
That is correct. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And so this slide provides information gathered on Blue Cross Blue Shield plans, and these are this year. Due to the fact market offerings are lower quality plans, I am unable to provide a side-by-side comparison. It's not realistic. Looking at an example of employee-only insurance, the Standard Health Gold HMO has a $1,500 deductible, a max out-of-pocket of $8,700. Doctor visits are $30, specialists are $60, and $15 for generic drugs. As you can see, Cochise County is providing our employees with quality plans at reasonable rates. So they are able to insure not only themselves, but also their families. And so I come before you today with a request to approve the Cochise Combined Trust premium rate structure for medical, dental, and vision benefits for fiscal year 24-25. And I am happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions, comments?
Yes, Ms. Graham, thank you for your patience. Wait until being the last on the agenda.
It's a pleasure to serve.
Okay. You use the term self-funded when you're talking about the combined trust. And what does that mean, self-funded?
As opposed to going through a company that we pay to pay for all of this, the Cochise Combined Trust brings together the resources of the three organizations to pay for the claims.
Okay, so you're basically eliminating a middleman, so to speak.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
You said something about a pre-certification penalty. Do you remember that? Okay, that
Yes.
Swooshing over my.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Give an example, please.
In the event that you had to go in for an MRI and your physician did not get pre-authorization, pre-approval, historically, I'm thinking an MRI costs more than $1,000. Historically, if they didn't do that, the penalty would fall upon the member that perhaps didn't ask. This is pre-certified with my insurance, correct? Now, or starting July 1st, the penalty will fall upon the provider.
Okay, thank you very much.
Certainly.
That's all I have. Thank you, madam.
Any other questions, comments? Ms. Judd?
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a very, very good health insurance policy from my experience. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for keeping that good for all of us.
I thank you for putting in there, not only for our sake, but for the public's sake, the fact that we do, as the trust, even though we're self-insured, we always look to see what it would cost if we got this outside.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
It keeps us honest, so that we're not doing it for any kind of selfish reason. We're doing it to save money and benefits.
And our benefits are part of all of our employees' total compensation. So we appreciate that.
I don't hear any other comments coming forth. I think you gave a good presentation. We do have a motion and a second already on the floor to approve. If there are no other comments, then I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Chair votes aye, and it's unanimous and approved and so ordered. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. You're all getting the information about what goes on at the Legislative Policy Committee, what's going on at the legislature. I don't have anything exciting to report except for the information that you're getting. So we'll go on to Mr. Karwachka. Any county matters recent or pending that you want to discuss with us?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, Supervisor Judd, Supervisor Crosby. So a week from today is the presidential preference election. So if you're registered as a Democrat or Republican, you may vote in that election. And so that is the most upcoming thing. We have always been asking for poll workers. I asked for more poll workers because after the presidential preference election, we do have a primary and a general election moving forward. So we do have poll workers that are assisting us now, but will not be working in the primary or general. So please, if you talk, always ask for people to apply. The application's online. So you can apply right now and we can contact you and use you down the road. So that concludes my comments. Thank you.
Current events. And I'll pass. Ms. Judd?
I have none. Thank you.
Okay, with that, then we'll tell you that the next meeting is today at 1:30 in the executive conference room. Special meeting with possible executive session on the American Oversight litigation. Having said that, meeting adjourned.